What time did we finish the thing?
I think 4:30 something.
That's not bad. Yeah.
Okay, so first question. So what was like what made you decide to actually come back to the University of Idaho for these like lectures?
Well, after graduating, me and my family actually missed this place quite a bit.
Oh.
Yeah, so.
My parents say that. My parents actually met here. So.
Really? Oh yeah, man. Moscow is an important part of, me and my family's life. So being able to come up here and teach was kind of a big deal. I've been meaning to get up here for the last few months anyway, and so it gave me a good reason to come up and teach. Plus, I like talking about what I've been through too, and being able to inspire someone is a big deal. Being able for them to push further, and grow as artists or designers, and giving inspiration. If that happens, even on a small level, it's worth my time, So.
And when you were deciding, like, why these specific lectures? Like, why like a Photoshop workshop and like the other PowerPoint presentation?
The first one was more experience, kind of my mini bio of what I've been through just recently, and also a way to inspire and get people kind of going in a certain direction, or to think about going in a certain direction, which would be that innovation, design. Keep pushing for the things you want in life. Keep pushing yourself here as a student. Make yourself better than even the things you're being taught. Learn what you're getting taught, and then make yourself better from that. And I think that's powerful for everybody going out into the work field. You have to be able to not just be another hired person in your degree, but actually be something special, and I think everyone has that ability. It's not just one person, it's a group of people working together to make everything better. So that's the reason for the first presentation. This one, Photoshop, sketching, I think everything you need to do, even if you're designing a business model, you should sit down and sketch. You should sit down and draw things out. It's a way to translate ideas. And also to think of things. I think everyone needs to be creative, everyone needs to be innovative, and so some of the things we did here was, we started, we used a kiwi and some obsidian, a rock and kiwi's a fruit, right? Yeah.
Kiwi's a fruit.
To gain inspiration from it, and I think that's important, to think of abstract ways to pull insight to your creations. And then also, using the tool Photoshop, it's been around for a long time, it stood some of the test of time, I guess. So it's a valuable tool, and I think that's something that should be in everyone's tool arsenal to some degree.
So, like, when you were talking yesterday about when you were a student here, and I want to know, like, why, when you were like applying to U of I, what made you decide to be a virtual technology and design major?
Well, what interested me in the beginning, I was a graphic designer for years. And I decided that I wanted to further my education in special effects, like movies. I wanted to create Gollum characters, do that kind of stuff. And but I looked at I had a big family. I looked at all the LA schools and New York stuff, and I was like, I can't move. I don't want to move my family to someplace. And my brother was going up to school up here at the time. We came to visit and watch a football game, and me and my wife both just fell in love with the area, and it's like, this is a beautiful campus, and everyone seems nice, and the city's nice and small, which is something we were used to, and you could see us raising a family here, and it was like, let's just do it. Let's just take, they got this program, VTD, that uses the similar programs that they use in the big effects industry, and so I'm going to learn a lot of the tools there that I would need in the effects world. And so we decided to take the plunge and move up here and start going to school.
And like, when you also were kind of talking about this yesterday, like when you tried to get a job and decided to do tattoo work, and so was that also like influenced by like your desire to just start designing, doing works of art and stuff like that?
Yeah, I mean, even when I was young, I graduated high school, and I always messed with Photoshop. I always wanted to draw, but I had a lot of regular jobs. I was working a shipping department, taping boxes together. I worked in a lumber yard, packing doors to different construction homes. I did those very labor-intensive, regular jobs, I guess. And the whole time, I'd find myself drawing on things, and I just said, you know what, I'll end up having to draw. Like, I want to draw. So I got into graphic design, got a good job in Southeast Idaho, and then when I moved up here, I didn't have that standing as far as an artist goes. There wasn't a lot of graphic design jobs that were open for part-time. I still did freelance graphic design for some people back home, but as far as new jobs, there wasn't a lot there. So I mowed lawns here and worked at a rental store, and worked for that guy, a few clients back home, graphic design. And then also did a paper route here in town. So I was busy, and then it got to the point where I said I got to find an artistic avenue that I don't have to be there full time. And that's where I stumbled upon tattooing, and then that was one of those, it's more whenever you can be there. You set up an appointment with a client and you go and throw some art on there and you're good. And I actually was able to stop my other jobs after doing that, and it worked out good to get me through school, and then even after I graduated. And it's still something I still do, and if I ever needed to, I can fall back and do that full time again.
And I'm kind of interested to talk about what you're up to now, and I was interested about you talking about this simulator you're working on.
Yeah, the INL contracted me to work on a simulator for them. There's a lot of confidential stuff. I can't go in exactly what it is, but they do a lot of. It's the nuclear laboratory, so nuclear fuels is big over there, and when you're dealing with something like that, there's a lot of danger. We saw what happened in Japan with their nuclear facility, and the United States has a very good design as far as never letting that happen, but you have to also be safe, and you have to also know what you're doing when you're out there. So if you take the training and put it in a simulator, there's a design that goes into that. It's not just a matter of making what's there and putting the person through that. You actually have to design it in a way where they're learning from it, and they're taking information, and the way you set up your composition and your cameras and your interactions in the scene actually relate to things that they're going to remember if you apply it the correct way. So if we get a worker going in and running through the simulator hundreds of times, by the time he actually has to do the process, he's a pro at it without ever having to go in that dangerous area to begin with.
Of course.
So what it does, it saves the government tons of money and resources. Before that, you'd have to almost build a separate facility and go through that process and something totally different. So yeah, they've got me going on some simulators, and I'm not sure how long I'll be doing that for, but because there's a lot of other things pulling me in different directions. Working with Adobe and helping them out with some of the makeups for a lot of their conventions, and then the conventions just for myself for the makeup stuff. And then I also do a lot of concept art for some upcoming producer, director types, people trying to get their foot in the door, and I've been helping those guys out, and they'll pay me a little bit of money. And then also I've got a few bids out there for some makeup projects. The one downside is, even though I run the show, I don't have experience on set. And that's a lot of the big movies, they want people that have been on set and know the process. And so it's understandable that they wouldn't want to hire me right from the get-go because of the inexperience. But I still push for the makeup, still do the special effects, and also working on a lot of my own projects that, I got a nice fancy camera that's going to help work on some really neat abstract concepts, similar to what we saw up here with implementing weird things. I think the film industry also needs to go that route. So it's easy to sit there and talk about it, but for me, I'm actually going to prove my concept. I'm actually going to do the film work and do the makeups and do the CG animations on certain areas, and see if I can pull it off and bring it all together. So we'll see.
Do you have any advice for students here who are trying to get into the same field you are?
Yeah, I think that you have to challenge yourself every day. I think, and it's not just this industry in particular, but anything. There's a reason why you have to make people understand why it's important for them to hire you. You can't go in there and say, oh, well, here's a bunch of drawings I did, here's a bunch of concept art I did, And yeah, it looks like everything else you've probably seen. You know, all your favorite concept artists in the world. I just kind of did something kind of like them, and so you should value me now. You can't go in with your degree and say, "Oh, I went and I got this degree from the University of Idaho." And I realize that degree is in every college around the country, and you probably have tons of people with that specific degree. You have to one up yourself. So you come in with your degree, and you want to add something to it. You know, if it's a concept art, you have to create your own style. You know, create something that makes you unique. Starting with kiwis and obsidian, you know, if that inspires you to create something new and innovative, then that's the stuff you need to produce. Because if they're flipping through, you got a owner of a company flipping through pages of the same. It could be great, it could be amazing, but if it's the same, you could get overlooked. Versus if you had something that looked good and it was unique, then all of a sudden you're saying something else, you know. So anyone that graduates, you have to make sure that you're saying something else other than what you're expected to say. If that makes sense.
Yeah. That's a good way to end it. Thanks.
Yeah, absolutely.
All
Nice
right.
to meet you.